Deep within the German forest lies a seemingly abandoned village. Overgrown houses, broken windows, and deserted streets. It looks like something out of a horror movie, but it's real. And there is one house that is the most haunted place in this village. The locals claim to see ghosts wandering around all the time. This is the most haunted place in Germany. This is Burg Wolfsegg. When we visited, the gates were locked, but it didn't take long before we found an entrance where we could sneak inside. As soon as we entered the yard, the sky began to darken and the clouds rolled in. It was going to storm, but that didn't stop us from exploring further. What we found inside will haunt our nightmares forever. The first building we came across was the former schoolhouse. Through the boarded-up window, we could see old desks and chairs stacked up against the wall. But what we found next would make our blood run cold. We then turned toward the house with the red door. The front lawn had been completely overgrown, and the yard was filled with trash. As we got closer, we could hear chains dragging metal moans. At first, we thought it was just our imagination, but when we turned the corner of the house, we saw this. A rusty swing set in the bushes, and as we watched in disbelief, the chains started moving on their own. One of the scariest things about these kinds of places are the things you don't see. There was a heavy silence over this place, like someone or something was watching us. We felt it on the back of our necks, the feeling of being watched, that unsettling feeling that something isn't right. As we continued deeper into the village, the wind picked up and the trees began to shake. It almost felt like they were reaching out for us, trying to pull us down into the forest. We walked past a weathered wooden sign that read, "Beware of dog." Now, you might think this is a friendly warning, but considering everything else we'd seen, it didn't exactly put us at ease. We then stopped by the well. These kinds of places have an eerie, unexplainable energy. You can feel it in your bones, in the deepest part of your soul. You know you're not alone. This old well was covered in moss and vines, but we couldn't help but wonder if anyone had met their demise here. Some say this well still holds the souls of those who fell in and never escaped. Now, let's talk about the main attraction, the most haunted house in the village. According to legend, this is where the ghost sightings are the most frequent. Before we go any further, though, we want to warn you. If you're sensitive to these things, look away now. What you're about to see has been known to drive some people insane. As we slowly opened the gate, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the yard. It was as if someone or something was walking directly behind us. We could feel its presence getting closer and closer until it was right on top of us. Then, just as quickly as it started, the noise stopped. We decided to ignore it and ventured further into the garden. The house itself was a sight to behold. Crumbling brick walls, broken windows, and overgrown vines creeping up the side. It looked like something straight out of a nightmare. We cautiously approached the front door, but before we could knock, it suddenly swung open as if someone had just walked through it from the other side. A gust of wind rushed out, sending goosebumps across our skin. Taking a deep breath to calm our nerves, we stepped inside. The interior was just as eerie as the exterior. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling, furniture was overturned, and debris was scattered across the floor. It was clear that no one had lived here for a very long time. But why? What had happened here? We then turned our attention to a small table in the corner of the room. On it was a book, candlesticks, a mirror, and a strange device with wires sticking out of it. It almost looked like some kind of torture device from the Middle Ages. Next, we moved into the kitchen. Here we found a pile of dishes in the sink, as if the owner had just washed them and left them to dry. On the countertop, we saw a rusty pot hanging over an open flame. It was as if someone had just used it to brew a potion or maybe even sacrifice a human heart. Who knows? But the scariest part of this house wasn't the dishes or the fireplace. It was the cellar door. Carved into the wood were strange symbols and markings that seemed to mock us. The air grew colder and the shadows deeper as we descended the stairs. The cellar was dark and dank, filled with spiders' webs and the stench of decay. It was here that we felt the strongest connection to the previous owner, the one who had died in this house so many years ago. Some say his name was Johann, a wealthy landowner who had made a fortune selling timber. He lived in the house with his wife and children, but one day he vanished without a trace. His wife and children were never seen again either. They all disappeared as if they'd stepped through a portal into another dimension. Over the years, people have reported hearing the sound of children's laughter echoing through the halls, as well as the faint smell of fresh-baked bread. Some have even claimed to see the ghost of Johann walking through the village at night, searching for his lost family. But Johann isn't the only ghost that haunts these streets. There are many others who have met their end here, from those who died in the nearby forest to those who were executed for crimes against the crown. The spirits of these unfortunate souls are said to linger here, unable to find peace. Many have tried to break the curse of this village, but none have succeeded. In fact, some say that trying to break the curse only makes it worse. For those who dare enter the village, be careful. You never know what you might encounter. But what about us? Did we manage to escape without being cursed ourselves? Well, that's up for debate. As we made our way through the village, we could feel the spirits all around us. It was almost as if they were trying to communicate with us, trying to tell us their stories. And then there was the sound, the one we'd heard in the garden. Had it followed us here? As we turned to look, we saw a cloaked figure standing in the shadows. It seemed to beckon us over, but when we approached, it vanished. Was it a spirit trying to lead us to its final resting place? Or was it something more sinister? We never did find out. But as we made our way back home, we couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Every shadow seemed to hold a secret, every tree a watchful eye. And the closer we got to the edge of the village, the more intense it became. Finally, we emerged from the woods and into the sunlight. We had made it. But as we turned to look back at the village, we saw something that made our blood run cold. The clouds had cleared and the sun was shining brightly. But over the village, a thick fog had rolled in, obscuring everything from view. It was as if the spirits were trying to hide their home from prying eyes. And as we drove away, we couldn't help but feel that we had stumbled upon a place where the veil between the living and the dead was paper thin. If you ever find yourself in the German forest, be careful where you step. You never know what kind of spirits you might awaken. What do you think? Is there a place you've been that's haunted? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.